Jake Morrison was drinking his morning coffee when the sky turned dark. He looked up from his desk at the Air Force Base and saw something that made his blood run cold. A massive ship, bigger than any building he had ever seen, was floating above Denver. The ship was black and looked like it was made of metal and something else he could not name. "All units, this is not a drill," came the voice over the radio. "We have unknown aircraft over major cities worldwide. Repeat, this is not a drill." Jake ran outside and looked up. The ship was so big it covered half the sky above the city. Other people were pointing and screaming. Cars had stopped in the streets. Everyone was looking up at the thing that should not be there. More ships appeared over other parts of the city. Jake counted at least 12 of them. They were all the same size and shape. They made no sound as they moved through the air like giant whales swimming in the ocean. "Get me General Patterson," Jake shouted into his radio. "We need to scramble. Every fighter we have." Within minutes, F-22 fighter jets were racing toward the alien ships. Jake watched from the ground as the jets fired their missiles. The weapons hit the ships but did nothing. They bounced off like rocks thrown at a mountain. The aliens did not fight back right away. They just stayed there, floating in the sky like they owned it. Then lights began to shine from the bottom of each ship. The lights were bright blue and seemed to reach down toward the ground like fingers. Dr. Lisa Carter was in her lab at NORAD when the alarm started going off. She was a scientist who studied life forms, but she had never seen anything like what appeared on her computer screens. The readings made no sense. "The electromagnetic readings are off the charts," she said to her assistant. "These ships are using technology we do not understand." Lisa watched the data stream across her screens. The ships were scanning everything: people, buildings, animals, even the soil. They were taking pictures and samples of the entire city without touching anything. "They are studying us," she said quietly. "Like we are bugs under a microscope." On the streets of Denver, people were running and screaming. Some tried to drive away, but the highways were jammed with cars. Others ran into buildings thinking they would be safe inside. Police Chief Danny Rodriguez was trying to keep order. But what could anyone do against ships from space? His radio was full of confused voices asking for orders. What orders could he give? "Stay calm and help people get to safety," he told his officers. "That is all we can do right now." Danny looked up at the ships and felt helpless. His guns and police cars meant nothing against technology like this. He had trained for many things, but not for this. The blue lights from the ships grew brighter. Then something incredible happened. The lights began to lift things from the ground. First, it was just dirt and rocks, then trees, then cars with people still inside them. Jake watched in horror as entire buildings began to rise into the air. The people inside were screaming, but there was nothing he could do. His jets kept firing, but their weapons had no effect. "Fall back," he ordered his pilots. "Fall back now." The ships were not just taking random things. They were taking everything in perfect circles. Whole neighborhoods rose into the air at once. Streets, houses, parks, shopping centers. Everything disappeared into the giant ships above. Lisa saw the truth on her instruments. "They are not destroying the city," she said with shock. "They are taking it, the whole thing, every person, every building, every tree." The process took 6 hours. Jake stood on a hill outside the city and watched as Denver disappeared piece by piece. 2.8 million people lived in that city. Now they were gone, lifted into alien ships like harvest from a field. When the ships were full, they began to move away from Earth. They rose higher and higher until they were just tiny dots in the sky. Then they vanished completely, like they had never been there at all. Where Denver used to be, there was now just a perfectly round hole in the ground. The hole was so clean it looked like someone had used a giant cookie cutter to remove a piece of the world. Jake stood at the edge of the hole with tears in his eyes. His sister had lived in Denver. His nephew had gone to school there. Now they were gone, taken to some place among the stars. Dr. Carter arrived with her team to study the crater. The edges were smooth like glass. There was no damage beyond the perfect circle. The aliens had taken exactly what they wanted and nothing more. "Look at this," her assistant said, holding up a small piece of black metal. "This fell from one of the ships." Lisa took the metal and studied it. It was warm to the touch and seemed to hum with energy. This was the first piece of alien technology humans had ever seen. That night, television screens around the world showed the same message. It came from the alien ships now far from Earth. The voice spoke in perfect English and in every other language on the planet. Your species shows promise. Compliance will ensure minimal future harvests. The message was short and simple, but its meaning was clear. The aliens would come back, they would take more cities, more people. Earth was now a farm, and humans were the crop. World leaders met in emergency sessions. Military commanders planned defenses. Scientists studied the small piece of alien metal, but everyone knew the truth. Humanity had just learned they were not alone in the universe, and they were not the strongest species in it. Jake Morrison looked up at the stars that night and made a promise. The aliens had taken his family, his city, his people. But they had made a mistake. They had left him alive, and as long as he was breathing, he would find a way to bring them home. 6 months had passed since the aliens took Denver. The world was a different place now. Every major country had joined together to form the emergency coalition government. General Mike Patterson was in charge of building new cities underground, where the aliens could not see them. "We go deeper," Patterson told his engineers. "Build everything underground. If they come back, they will find empty cities on the surface." Miles below the ground, thousands of workers were digging tunnels and building rooms. Entire cities were being carved out of rock and steel. People lived in these underground places now, afraid to stay on the surface too long. Dr. Lisa Carter had her own lab deep underground. She spent every day studying the piece of alien metal they had found. Slowly, very slowly, she was learning how it worked. "The metal is not just metal," she explained to her team. "It is alive in some way. It responds to electrical signals like a brain responds to thoughts." Her assistant, a young woman named Amy Foster, was very good with computers. She had been trying to connect human technology to the alien metal for months. "I think I am getting somewhere," Amy said one day. "The metal seems to want to connect to our computers, like it is trying to talk to them." Lisa and Amy worked day and night. They were not the only ones. All over the world, scientists were trying to understand alien technology. They had to learn fast. Everyone knew the aliens would come back. High above the Earth, Admiral Kate Sullivan was commanding humanity's first trip to the stars. Her ship, the UES Defiance, had been built using the alien technology they had learned to copy. It was not as good as alien ships, but it could travel faster than anything humans had built before. "Take us to the coordinates where the alien ships disappeared," Kate ordered her crew. The journey took 3 weeks. When they arrived, Kate could not believe what she saw through the ship's windows. There was a huge space station orbiting a dead planet. The station was bigger than Earth's moon. "My God," Kate whispered. "Look at the size of that thing." The space station had hundreds of sections, each one the size of a large city. Through powerful telescopes, Kate could see that each section held a different group of beings. Some sections had creatures she did not recognize, but one section looked familiar. Is that Denver?" asked her second in command. Kate looked closer. It was Denver. The entire city was there, inside a giant glass dome on the space station. She could see the buildings, the streets, even the parks, and there were people walking around. "They are alive," Kate said with excitement. "The people from Denver are alive." Inside the space station, in the section that held Denver, Police Chief Danny Rodriguez was planning something dangerous. For 6 months, he had been organizing the people of Denver into groups. They had learned to hide from the alien guards and move through the station without being seen. Danny had discovered that the aliens were not just keeping humans as prisoners. They were doing something to their minds. Every day, groups of people were taken to large machines that looked like metal trees. When people came back from these machines, they were different. They moved slowly and never spoke. Their eyes looked empty. "We have to stop them from taking more people," Danny told his secret meeting. "Whatever they are doing to our minds, we cannot let them continue." A woman named Mary Johnson raised her hand. She had been a teacher in Denver before the aliens came. "What can we do?" "We have no weapons. They are too strong." Danny had been thinking about this problem for months. We do not fight them with strength. We fight them with our minds. I have noticed something. The aliens have trouble understanding us. They expect us to think like them, but we do not. What Danny had discovered was very important. The aliens use their minds differently than humans. They all thought together, like one big brain. But humans thought alone, each person having their own ideas. This difference made the alien machines work poorly on human minds. The machines were designed to connect many minds together, but human minds would not connect properly. They stayed separate, no matter what the aliens did. Back on Earth, Dr. Carter and Amy Foster had made their own discovery. They had finally learned to use the alien metal to send messages. It is like a telephone that works across space, Amy explained. The metal can talk to other pieces of metal anywhere in the universe. Lisa was excited. If we can contact the people on the space station, we can coordinate a rescue. They sent their first message and waited. Hours passed. Then, a message came back. It was from Danny Rodriguez. This is Denver Police Chief Danny Rodriguez. We are alive but not well. The aliens are doing experiments on our minds. We are organizing. Resistance, please send help. Lisa and Amy looked at each other with hope and fear. The people of Denver were fighting back, but they needed help. General Patterson received the message and immediately began planning. We need more ships, he told his staff, and we need better weapons. But building ships and weapons would take time. On the space station, Danny and his people did not have much time left. Every day, more people were taken to the mind machines. Danny decided to take a big risk. He would try to contact the other prisoners on the space station. The aliens had captured many different species from many different planets. Maybe together they could do something. Using stolen alien equipment, Danny sent messages to other sections of the station. Most of the alien species did not answer. Their minds had been changed by the machines, and they could only think what the aliens wanted them to think, but 2 species answered back. The first were called the Kethvar. They were tall and strong like human soldiers but bigger. Their leader was named Grixtar, and he had been fighting the aliens for 200 years before his planet was captured. Your species is new to this place, Grixtar told Danny through the stolen communicator. But already you resist better than most. Why do the mind machines not work on you? Danny did not know the answer, but he was glad they did not work. The second species to answer were called the Nexari. They were small and smart, like human engineers, but much better with technology. Their leader was Zephi, and she had been on the station for 150 years. We have been waiting for a species like yours, Zephi told Danny. A species that cannot be controlled by the machines. Together, we might escape this place. Danny felt hope for the first time. In months, Denver was not alone. They had allies now, and together they might find a way home. But first, they had to understand what the aliens really wanted with all the captured species, and what they discovered would change everything. Dr. Lisa Carter had not slept in 3 days. She and Amy Foster were so close to a breakthrough that they could not stop working. The alien metal was beginning to make sense to them. Amy, look at this, Lisa said, pointing to her computer screen. The metal is not just sending messages. It is connected to a huge network that covers the whole galaxy. Amy studied the data. It is like the internet, but much bigger, and it connects minds instead of computers. What they had discovered was amazing and terrifying. The aliens had built a network that connected every captured species across hundreds of planets. All the prisoners' minds were linked together in one giant system. This is how they control everyone, Lisa realized. They force all the captured minds to think together as one big mind. No individual thoughts, no personal ideas. Everyone thinks what the network tells them to think. But there was something wrong with the network now. Ever since the humans had been connected to it, strange things were happening. The system was having errors and breaking down in places. The network was not designed for minds like ours, Amy said. Human minds are causing problems in the system. On the space station, Danny Rodriguez was learning the same thing. He had been talking to Grixtar and Zephi for weeks now. Together, they had discovered the truth about the mind machines. The machines do not just control your thoughts, Grixtar explained to Danny. They make you part of a big mind that includes all captured species. My people, HFY's people, and hundreds of others. We all think together now. But not all of you, Danny said. You two are still thinking for yourselves. HFY made a sound that Danny thought might be laughter. We are damaged goods. The machines could not completely change us. We still have some of our own thoughts. But most of our people are lost to the network. Danny felt sick thinking about it. How many species are connected to this network? Over 300, HFY answered. Billions of minds all thinking the same thoughts. The aliens use this big mind to run their empire. All their technology, all their ships, everything is controlled by the captured minds. But something was changing. Danny had noticed that more of his people were keeping their individual thoughts even after going through the mind machines. And Grixtar said some of his warriors were starting to remember who they used to be. It started when your species arrived, Grixtar told Danny. Human minds are like a virus in the network. You are spreading independence to other species. Back on Earth, Captain Ben Hayes was leading a secret mission. He commanded a small team of soldiers who were trying to attack a smaller alien base in space. Their job was to learn more about alien technology and bring back information. Ben's team had trained for months in the underground cities. They used copied alien technology and weapons built from the metal Dr. Carter had studied. Their ship was fast and quiet, designed to sneak past alien defenses. Remember, we get in and get out, Ben told his team as they approached the alien base. We are not here to win a war. We are here to learn how to win a war. The alien base was smaller than the big space station, but it was still huge by human standards. Ben's team landed on it without being detected and began exploring. What they found inside shocked them. The base was run entirely by captured minds connected to the network. Alien creatures from different planets worked side by side, but they all moved in the same way and had the same empty look in their eyes. They are like robots, one of Ben's soldiers whispered. But they used to be people. Ben recorded everything they saw. In the center of the base was a huge computer that seemed to be made of both metal and living tissue. This computer was connected to the galaxy-wide network. This is how they do it, Ben realized. Each base has one of these computers. Together, they create the network that controls everyone. But as Ben's team watched, something strange happened. The computer began making errors. Lights flickered on and off. The controlled creatures stopped working and stood still, looking confused. The network is breaking down, Ben said with excitement. And I think I know why. Ben's team stole as much technology as they could carry and escaped back to Earth. When they arrived, Ben immediately went to see Dr. Carter and Amy Foster. The humans on the space station are not just resisting the network, Ben told them. They are breaking it. Every human mind that gets connected is like putting a virus into their computer system. Dr. Carter understood immediately. Human minds work differently. We think as individuals, not as a group. When the network tries to make us think together, it creates errors in the system. Amy was already working on her computers. If we can figure out how to make the errors worse, we might be able to break the whole network. They worked for days studying the stolen alien technology. Slowly, they learned how to create a special computer program that could spread through the alien network like a disease. It is not really a virus, Amy explained. It is more like a reminder. It reminds each captured mind that they used to be an individual person with their own thoughts. On the space station, Danny was preparing his people for something big. He had been in contact with Earth and knew about the virus program. But for it to work, it would need to be spread through the network from many places at once. We have friends now, Danny told the people of Denver at a secret meeting. People on Earth are sending help, but we have to do our part too. Grixtar and his warriors were ready to fight. HFY and her engineers had been building secret weapons from stolen alien technology, and the humans of Denver had learned to move through the station without being caught. When the time comes, Danny said, we will upload the virus program from here while Earth uploads it from there. The virus will spread to all 300 captured species at once. Mary Johnson, the former teacher, raised her hand. What will happen to all those minds when they remember who they used to be? Danny smiled. They will get angry, very angry, and then they will want revenge against the aliens who stole their lives. The plan was dangerous and might not work. But it was the first real hope humanity had since Denver was taken. Soon, the aliens would learn that they had made a big mistake when they decided to harvest humans. The galaxy-wide rebellion was about to begin. General Mike Patterson stood in the main command center deep under the Earth. Around him, screens showed star maps and alien bases across the galaxy. Today was the day humanity would fight back. Operation Prometheus is a go, Patterson announced. All teams begin the attack. Around the world, humans who had been hiding underground for months came out of their tunnels. They brought with them weapons and ships built from copied alien technology. The ships were not as good as alien ships, but there were thousands of them. Admiral Kate Sullivan led the main space fleet from her command ship. Behind her flew hundreds of human vessels, all heading toward alien bases in nearby star systems. All ships maintain formation, Kate ordered. Remember, we are not just fighting for Earth. We are fighting for every captured species in the galaxy. But the real battle was not happening in space. The real battle was happening inside the alien network in the minds of billions of captured beings. Dr. Lisa Carter sat at her computer in the underground lab. Next to her, Amy Foster was typing commands as fast as she could. They were uploading their virus program into the alien network through the piece of metal they had studied for so long. Upload is at 50%, Amy reported. The program is spreading through the network faster than we expected. On the space station, Danny Rodriguez and his team were doing the same thing. They had taken control of one of the alien computers and were sending the virus program from their end. The network is fighting back, HFY warned. The alien systems are trying to stop the virus. Grixtar and his warriors were guarding the computer room while HFY worked. Outside, alien guards were trying to break down the door, but the HFY were strong fighters and were holding them back. How much longer? Grixtar asked as he fired his stolen alien weapon at the guards. Almost done, Danny replied. He was helping HFY upload the program while his Denver police officers fought alongside the alien warriors. Across the galaxy, something incredible was happening. On hundreds of planets and space stations, captured beings were remembering who they used to be. The virus program was working. On a planet called Kethavar Prime, warriors who had been mindless slaves for 200 years suddenly remembered their families and their freedom. They looked at their alien masters with fury and began to fight. On the engineering world of Nexar, brilliant minds that had been forced to build alien weapons for 150 years remembered their own people and turned the weapons against their captors. Species after species was breaking free from the network. Billions of minds that had been controlled for decades or centuries were becoming individuals again. Captain Ben Hayes, now promoted to admiral, was leading a special mission to the alien homeworld. His job was to find the main control center for the entire network. The readings are off the charts, his science officer reported. The entire galaxy-spanning network is breaking down. Ben's fleet arrived at a massive planet covered in metal, cities and towering spires. This was where the aliens who called themselves the HFY had built their empire's capital. Take us down to the main city, Ben ordered. We need to find their central computer. But as Ben's ships approached the planet, they discovered something shocking. The cities were empty. The aliens had abandoned their home world and fled into deep space. Sir, you need to see this, his landing team reported over the radio. We found the central computer, but there is something very strange about it. Ben landed on the planet and went to see for himself. In the center of the main city was a huge building that looked more like a cathedral than a computer center. Inside, there was a massive machine that pulsed with organic light. This is not just a computer, Ben realized. This is alive. His science team studied the machine and made an incredible discovery. The machine was not built by the aliens. The machine was the aliens. The HFY died out thousands of years ago, the science officer explained to Ben. What we have been fighting is just their captured minds running their old empire. The real aliens have been dead for millennia. This meant that the entire HFY empire was just a system of slavery maintaining more slavery. There were no real masters anymore, just captured minds forced to capture more minds to keep the system running. Back on the space station, the rebellion was succeeding beyond Danny's wildest hopes. Not only were the humans and their allies free, but captured species throughout the station were breaking their chains. The guards have stopped fighting, Grigstar reported. They are remembering who they used to be as well. The space station was in chaos, but it was good chaos. For the first time in centuries, the prisoners were taking control of their own lives. Mary Johnson, the former teacher from Denver, was helping organize the newly freed beings. "We need to get everyone back to their home planets," she told Danny. But HFY had a different idea. "This station has weapons," she said. "Weapons powerful enough to destroy star systems. We could turn them against the remaining alien bases." Thought about this carefully. The aliens had taken everything from them. They deserved revenge. But was revenge the right answer? "We use the weapons to free more prisoners," Danny decided. "But we do not use them to destroy planets. We are better than that." Admiral Sullivan's fleet was having great success. Most alien bases surrendered without a fight when their controlled guards remembered their freedom. The few bases that tried to resist were quickly overwhelmed. "The alien empire is collapsing faster than we thought possible," Sullivan reported to General Patterson. "Most of their forces were actually prisoners who are now fighting on our side." In her underground lab, Dr. Carter was monitoring the network collapse. The virus had spread to over 300 species. Entire civilizations that had been enslaved for thousands of years were free again. "Amy, look at this," Lisa said, staring at her screen in wonder. "The virus is evolving. It is not just freeing individual minds anymore. It is creating connections between species that preserve individual thoughts while allowing cooperation." Amy looked at the data and smiled. "The network is rebuilding itself. But this time it is a network of free minds choosing to work together instead of being forced to think the same thoughts." The Great Rebellion had succeeded beyond anyone's dreams. The HFY Empire, which had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years, was crumbling in a matter of days. But the work was not over. There were still millions of prisoners to free, planets to liberate, and a new kind of civilization to build. And somewhere in the dark spaces between stars, the remaining true HFY were planning their return. 3 days. That was all it took for the HFY Empire to completely fall apart. Across the galaxy, their ships went dark and their bases went silent. The network that had controlled billions of minds for thousands of years was gone. Danny Rodriguez stood on the observation deck of the space station and watched alien ships floating dead in space. Without the network to control them, the ships had no power and no purpose. Their crews, once mindless slaves, were now free beings trying to figure out how to get home. "It is over," Grigstar said, standing beside Danny. The big warrior looked, tired but happy. "My people are free. Your people are free. Everyone is free." HFY joined them, carrying a small device that glowed with soft light. "I have good news," she announced. "We have taken control of the station's transport systems. We can send everyone home." Danny felt a mix of joy and sadness. After months of fighting together, his new friends would be going back to their own worlds. But he was happy they could finally go home. "What about the station itself?" Danny asked. "What do we do with something this big and powerful?" The space station was enormous, with weapons that could destroy entire planets. In the wrong hands, it could be very dangerous. "We vote," said Mary Johnson, who had just arrived with a group of freed prisoners from different species. "Everyone who was captured gets a vote on what to do with this place." It took 2 days to organize the vote, but the result was clear. The station would become humanity's first colony in space. Denver would be rebuilt on Earth as a memorial, but the original Denver would stay here and become the heart of a new kind of civilization. Meanwhile, Admiral Kate Sullivan was leading rescue missions to planets across the galaxy. Everywhere her ships went, they found the same thing: alien technology shutting down and former prisoners taking control of their own worlds. "The Kethvar have retaken their home planet," she reported to Earth. "The Nexari are rebuilding their cities. Dozens of species are free and going home. But not every rescue mission was simple. On some worlds, The freed prisoners did not remember how to live without the network. They had been slaves for so long that freedom scared them. Dr. Lisa Carter and Amy Foster were working on this problem from their lab on Earth. They had developed new programs that could help damaged minds remember how to think for themselves again. It is like teaching someone to walk after they have been paralyzed, Lisa explained. The ability is still there, but they have forgotten how to use it. The hardest cases were species that had been captured thousands of years ago. Entire civilizations had forgotten their own cultures and histories. They would need years of help to become themselves again. Captain Ben Hayes, now the highest-ranking human military officer in space, had been given a special mission. He was hunting for the remaining HFY who had escaped when their empire fell. "We have tracked them to the edge of the galaxy," Ben reported from his flagship. "Small groups of them are hiding in empty star systems trying to rebuild." The surviving HFY were not many, maybe a few thousand at most, but they still had some advanced technology and the knowledge of how the network had worked. They could be dangerous if they were allowed to rebuild. "We are not going to hunt them down and destroy them," General Patterson decided after talking with the other leaders. "But we will watch them. If they try to capture anyone again, we will stop them." Back on the space station, now called New Denver, life was becoming normal in a strange way. Human families were reunited with their loved ones. Children who had been taken from Earth were learning to live in space. Adults who had spent months as prisoners were learning to be free again. Danny had been elected as the first mayor of New Denver. It was a job he never expected to have, running a city in space with inhabitants from dozens of different worlds. "We are building something new here," he told the mixed crowd of humans and aliens at the first town meeting. "A place where different species can live together as equals. No one controls anyone else. Everyone thinks their own thoughts." The meeting was translated into dozens of languages, but everyone understood the main idea. They were all survivors, and they would build their new life together. On Earth, the world was changing too. The underground cities were being expanded into permanent homes. Humans had learned that the surface was not the only place to live. They were also building ships and preparing to explore the galaxy themselves. Dr. Carter made one final discovery that amazed everyone. The consciousness virus had not stopped evolving. It had created something entirely new, a voluntary network that allowed different species to share thoughts and ideas without losing their individual identity. "It is the opposite of what the HFY built," she explained to Amy and the other scientists. "Instead of forcing minds to think the same, it lets minds choose to share what they want to share." Species across the galaxy were joining this new network. They could work together on big problems, share scientific discoveries, and help each other, all while staying true to their own cultures and beliefs. Admiral Sullivan established the first headquarters of what would become the Galactic Liberation Alliance on Earth. Representatives from over 100 freed species came to plan their future together. "We have a responsibility," Sullivan told the gathered delegates. "We must make sure that what happened to us never happens to anyone else." The Alliance created rules for exploring space and meeting new species. No one would be captured or enslaved. New civilizations would be invited to join as equals, never forced. Years passed. The galaxy slowly healed from thousands of years of slavery. New Denver became a major city, with humans and aliens living side by side. Earth became the capital of the Alliance, welcoming visitors from across the stars. General Patterson, now old and gray, stood in the new memorial park where Denver used to be. The park had a simple monument with the names of everyone who had been taken that terrible day. "They thought we were just another species to harvest," he said to the crowd gathered for the memorial service. "They learned that humanity does not just survive. We liberate. We do not just fight for ourselves. We fight for everyone who cannot fight back." Children from dozens of different worlds played in the park, their different forms and colors a living symbol of what the galaxy had become. They were the first generation to grow up free, and they would make sure it stayed that way. In the distance, ships from many worlds came and went from Earth's spaceports. The galaxy was no longer ruled by fear and slavery. It was connected by friendship and cooperation. The aliens had harvested one human city, thinking humans would be easy to control. Instead, they had awakened something in humanity that spread across the stars like wildfire. The desire for freedom, it turned out, was more contagious than any virus. The Zeftai Empire was gone forever, but its replacement was something beautiful. A galaxy where every being could choose their own path and think their own thoughts. And it all started because the aliens made one simple mistake. They underestimated humanity.